Hey everybody, welcome to the Dino and Ted Show!
It's a big show.
It's a big show.
What are we going to talk about today? What kind of nostalgia?
Some more nostalgia.
Going back to the...
Some TV
back in the
shows.
80s.
Back in the 80s.
Back in the real 80s, not the Goldbergs version of the 80s.
Yeah, we're the
real
Goldbergs.
80s.
Back in the 80s, when people were we're going to go back and talk about a little bit of our favorite TV shows from back in the day.
Yeah.
And how that kind of...
Not all of mine were from the 80s, but, you know.
No, kind of 70s, 80s, kind of, whatever you want to throw in there.
Right.
I mean, for me, right off the bat, see, I'm going to jump to the 70s first, because a couple of my favorites that I always do. Let me take this back. Are they my favorites? They're my comfort TV shows. Like, okay, All in the Family.
Oh, gotta love All in the Family.
Okay, Archie Bunker.
Archie.
Eat it there.
I still do what he did in that show. And I don't think my wife realized that that's who I was copying until she saw an episode of it where she's talking and he's just like, like he's got a gun.
Oh yeah. Edith keeps talking and talking and talking.
And I would do
click, 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 click. That scene in that was just so funny.
His chair, that chair is in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C.
Yes. Archie Bunker's chair. But, I mean, All in the Family came at a time when, it was Nixon was in office.
Mm-hmm.
So, they were very political. The Jeffersons lived next door.
And we had all those spin-offs. We had the Jeffersons.
But we had racism that they would tackle every day. The hippies.
Every social moray.
Social moray.
And I find that show still relevant today because there's still a lot of people that still harbor those feelings.
Yeah.
But there's still people from that generation that have kind of grown up a little bit.
Right.
And even though you and I may have grown up in households where, someone would say this or say this, or we didn't like those people, we didn't like this.
Right.
You just come to relate, at least now in this day and age, I don't need the TV to tell me what to think.
Right.
It's mostly just, as long as you're taking care of what you got to take care of in your life and you're taking care of your family, you're not causing any trouble.
Right.
I don't really
100%.
care who you are, what color you are, what you do.
Yep.
As long as, and I kind of feel everybody just wants to be a good person and be free. And if you're a D-bag and some thug, then that's what the jails are for.
And we're saying this because that's what All in the Family was about.
Those are the issues that it tackled.
Archie Bunker was a bigot, and he had issues.
But he wasn't.
He had a heart.
He was.
When it came down to it, he had a heart.
It was just like what came out of his mouth wasn't always connected to what was in his heart.
Exactly. Exactly.
And when it came, because look, he loved, even though he and George Jefferson, they were like
went
this,
at it,
but he always loved Lionel. Lionel was always welcome in his house,
right,
and he didn't care. About that stuff. And
true, no.
He would say things.
Right.
Ignorant things.
Because
But he didn't say it
he was your
to
blue
be
collar
malicious.
Man. Right.
It said it because unfortunately, like there would be jokes, hey, I work with a guy down at work, he's black, you probably know him.
Right.
Stupid things like that. But it was never to be mean.
No, it was just the ignorance of being raised in a culture and that blue collar kind of hardworking lifestyle back in the day. And
I think so much of it, and I know we're kind of going off a little tangent here.
I know, I'm like, we're going to talk TV shows in here. We're really diving deep into All in the Family.
Because it gets me interested, because I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I don't think...
Oh, the episode where he's giving blood? They go down to give blood?
Oh, and he gets the black guy... Is it a black guy's blood? When he has to get blood?
Well, no. Archie Bunker, Meathead...
Michael,
who's married to Archie Bunker's daughter. If you haven't seen All in the Family, great show. You should go back and rewatch it, or watch it again, or watch it for the first time. Him and Lionel, who's the colored guy from the neighborhood. Well, that's what they would say back in the day.
I know. You sounded like me, colored guy.
The black guy next door, who they're having a little debate at the blood bank about black people giving their blood too. Like Lionel was down there. Archie Bunker's like, he's not here to give no blood. He's here to sweep up or whatever. The whole joke. And then they started getting into debate about a guy having a heart transplant and giving black blood, and there's Archie Bunker saying there's no way the black blood would not. It doesn't work with white people. It's not the same thing. It just, you can't put a colored person's blood into a white person's blood. It just doesn't work. And but it was a whole funny thing.
But it's not because he was being racist. So he's just ignorant.
No, right. And the funny part is Lionel, the character, always went along with him and said, "Yeah, right, Mr. Bunker, right, Mr. Bunker."
And I think that's because he knew.
Right.
When it came right down to it, his heart was good.
Exactly.
He's just an ignorant old man.
Right, exactly.
And, and the character grew, and then we had the spin-off show, The Jeffersons, which is a great show in its own right that carried over in the 80s. We had
I didn't care for that as much as All in the Family, but yeah, All in the Family expanded, I think, 7 seasons, and then went into Archie's Place.
Archie Bunker's Place. And then wasn't there a Gloria show?
Like four seasons, and then that spun off into the Gloria.
Gloria, which I think maybe only had a season or two or something.
Just one season.
One season.
I don't even think
anything else spin off from Jeffersons?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was that universe right there, but
and that's how a lot of the shows were in the same. A lot of shows
spun off.
Spun off from others, and a lot of people don't realize that.
And my other go-to from right along with All in the Family, because it's the bigoted white guy, and my other great show is Sanford and Son, who's
the polar opposite.
The polar opposite with Fred Sanford, who was very. I'm not going to say anti-white because he in the end he
it seemed like he didn't like Puerto Ricans more than he didn't like white people. Every time Julio would come over, true. Julio bring his goat over.
But Sanford and Son was what was about. It basically just Fred Sanford was a junk dealer, and his son Lamont. Was part of it.
And Grady and Bubba.
Yeah, Grady, Bubba.
Woodrow and his aunt and his sister-in-law, Aunt Esther.
Who has always had a horse's face. She's ugly. You ugly.
Fish-eyed fool.
You fish-eyed fool.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hit him with the purse.
But, very against the Puerto Ricans, always saying stuff against about the white people. So it kind of had the polar.
It was just a different perspective.
Yeah, kind of like going against
And they lived like where they live in Watts
in L.A. or over in that area, California. And it was just a very funny show and
best theme
classic.
song ever. No singing.
No,
and a lot of people also don't realize that writers for that show, Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you
had Richard Pryor writing for that show.
You had Fred Sanford, and the funny thing is
Red Fox, who was a great comedian.
Red Fox,
in his own
right. Yes. Who listen to some of Red Fox's dirty stuff, jokes and
it's up there with Mantan Moore.
Oh my God, man! But yeah, those were my two that I've got those DVD
but they
sets.
are shows that everybody can watch, and even though the show
to this day,
and today if this show came out, that'd be labeled like a black show.
Oh yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
But back in it was just a show. Everybody tuned in to watch that show.
Yes.
It didn't matter.
Got a kick out of it.
Everybody watched it. It didn't matter what the hell color you were. Or
right.
Like
right.
That. It was just fantastic.
And that's how I look at things because I don't think that way. I look without. The fuzzy
and that
glasses
whole show
and
was
laugh
like in one
at
room.
It,
There'd be the one room and the kitchen.
That's it.
I don't think you ever.
Well, they went out to the junkyard every now and then, but
once in a while you might see a bedroom. But for the most part,
small
set. The family,
small
sets, and these great stories in these just little contained places.
Tells you the great writing that was going on during.
How can you keep an audience
shows.
entertained when they're just in one room for 30 minutes?
Well, another one, and I'll go to my third one, and then we'll move to you. And then the other one, which is the kind of the same thing, the same set, is Three's Company.
Damn it! You stole my number one.
Did I?
My favorite.
Well, here we'll switch over to you as I talk about it. But Three's Company is just one of those TV shows where, I mean, I put them in today and I still laugh. And again...
And it's funny because we're actually rewatching that in my house.
Are you?
My kids are watching it. And it's just kind of funny how, like, my kids will laugh.
Yeah.
At Jack. But they don't get
the
double entendre jokes.
Yeah.
Those go over their heads. Me and my wife will be laughing.
Show.
I'm like, what's so funny?
But we watched it when we were younger too.
Right.
But if you haven't seen Three's Company, give it a shot. It's got John Ritter.
John Ritter was so great in that show.
Suzanne Summers and Joyce DeWitt
was Janet.
And the Ropers, who were the landlords downstairs.
I'm a Furley fan myself.
Jack Tripper had to pretend he was gay to move into the apartment with the two
girls,
females.
Oh, and Mr. Roper was like, that's Tinkerbell.
Yeah. So that was the running gag throughout the series, and then
pretty much,
the Ropers eventually took over by Don Knotts, who was the landlord down there, and was great too.
I still love him better.
But through the journey, Suzanne Summers left.
Then we got Cindy Snow, her cousin, lasted a season,
and then we had Terry,
who was Terry Alden, the nurse, who's actually the episode we watched today.
Yeah.
Before I came over here was that episode, the first episode with Terry.
Okay.
And she's actually my favorite out of all the third roommates.
She was
spunky. And she was actually funny, like as an actress. Not like a dumb blonde like Chrissy or a klutz like Cindy. She was funny.
Yeah.
And
and the womanizer Larry.
She's got horror cred. She was in Devil's Rejects. She's
right.
The blonde that gets terrorized.
Yeah,
and
she's
humiliated in the hotel
She's had some
room.
work. She's had some work. Yeah.
In Mallrats, she had the third nipple.
Yes.
The mind reader or whatever. But that was her. Priscilla Barnes.
Barnes, that's it.
Yeah, but she's my favorite one out of all the roommates. I think she's the best one. I always loved those last couple seasons with her. I thought she was great.
No, yeah. I mean, Cindy Snow was probably, those were the worst.
She only lasted a season.
Right. But yeah, there wasn't a bad season.
Pony. She was just always a klutz. That was her shtick.
Not a bad season of Three's Company. But
no.
Anyways, I mean, on to you. I'll let you
actually
speak a
not even
bit,
really a bad episode.
No.
And then that spun off into two series. You had the Ropers, which I think lasted a season.
I think that's it.
And then I think Two's a Crowd, or was it Three's a Crowd or Two's a Crowd?
I think it's Three's a Crowd.
After following Jack Tripper after.
Or maybe it's Two's a Crowd. I can't remember.
A
Yeah, because Jack got married at the very end of Three's Company and went on to try doing his own thing, and it just didn't.
And I think that only lasted a season as well.
Yeah.
But that's probably from the late 70s, early 80s. That's my favorite show.
Yeah.
And my wife and I don't like a lot of the same TV shows, but that's something we could watch over and over and over again.
Oh, heck yeah.
And, now it's kind of fun to, share it with the kids because... even though there's some jokes they don't get that they'll get later.
Yeah, we watched it when we were young too.
Show.
Yeah.
And, they love Furley. They love when he goes, pounds on the door. It's RF!
It's RF.
And Don Knotts is so hilarious.
They're always hiding something.
Larry upstairs.
The womanizer. Yeah, Jack's the womanizer.
Going to the Regal Beagle.
The Regal Beagle.
And my kids do understand, the concept of a character being gay because we have, in the family with us. And so they think that's kind of funny when, he'll, Mr. Furley asked for a ladies' compact or something because he wanted to do a magic trick in this episode. And Jack's like, oh, why is your makeup smudged? Or something like that.
Yeah. Jack Tripper.
Or when he and, Furley, or not Furley, Roper end up in bed together for the night. Or
classic episode. Yeah. And Jack always went along with being the part and freaking out Mr. Roper, and
John Ritter was great. He was the sheriff in
Seed of Chucky?
Or Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky.
And he unfortunately passed away. And I love so many of the things that he did.
A little heart ailment that
and a little split in his aorta, I think, and just basically bled to death before they could get him to the hospital. No chance, unfortunately, when that happens. And,
well, what else did you other than Three's Company?
Let's see. What's another show that I really liked? I watched just about all the ones that had kids in it. I watched Facts of Life.
Yeah, there's another one. I mean,
Different Strokes. I think we all watched Different Strokes, especially
That's another one, yeah.
And that one had some hard hitting episodes. The bully episode where Willis sticking up for Arnold gets beat to hell.
The sexual predator,
the molestation episode, the lung cancer episode with Dudley's father.
Yeah, Different Strokes is a TV series that
about a rich millionaire businessman
Yeah.
whose housekeeper had 2 sons, and she passes away, and he adopts the 2 sons, and he has a daughter of his own. And
Who was played by what's their names?
the daughter, Kimberly.
Well, no, who's Arnold? Played?
Gary Coleman.
Gary Coleman, yeah.
Jeff
Gary
Bridges,
Coleman,
Dana
who's
Plato.
passed away.
Janet Jackson was the girlfriend in that
Janet
show.
Jackson
Before
was in that,
anybody
too.
knew who Janet Jackson was,
Yeah.
she was in that show.
She was nasty.
You nasty boys.
But yeah. Some of those shows took it like a hard, like Facts of Life did too.
Yeah.
They took hard hitting, shows
or issues
and put them into the shows.
Right.
So
and there would usually be like one of the characters at the beginning telling you, what was going to happen in this episode, and if you want to have your kids watch it.
Right.
But that's when shows were trying to make a difference about things or
Exactly.
to teach.
Yeah.
Remember watching Punky Brewster?
Yeah.
The little girl that gets
that wasn't
abandoned by her mother.
Yeah.
And is raised by just some random guy who she knocks on a door, I guess. He raises this little girl, but she was a cute
The
little
old guy, wasn't it? I
can't remember
was
his
it Mr.
name.
Belvedere? No, that was a show. Mr.
That was a
Belvedere. Okay, yeah.
Silver Spoons. Silver Spoons with
yes.
Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky Schroeder, that's another one.
Yep.
Alfonso
Ribeiro,
who still dances
Aaron
just like
Gray
he did back
from
then.
Buck Rogers.
Rogers. Yeah.
That's another show I used to watch. Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Didn't miss an episode.
Well, heck,
Buck Rogers.
I can go back to. I used to watch Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, and those carried over into the 80s.
Yes, those are 2 shows that I still watch to this
Joni
day,
Loves
too.
Chachi.
Joni Loves Chachi when Scott Baio grew up a little bit. But no.
The Fonz, man. Yeah, and then, we had the cartoon series that we talked about.
Henry Winkler, who just passed away.
He didn't die.
What?
That was a
Was that a prank?
That was a prank. He didn't really die.
No, Ted.
He didn't really die.
I was punked.
He didn't die.
What the hell?
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Holy shit.
Is Henry Winkler dead?
What does it say?
I'm going to find out.
I had a
He's
whole...
alive. Look, there's a picture of him.
They said he just...
Years active. He's not dead.
Then what was
It
that?
was like it was like just one of those little internet jokes.
Oh, frick. So I'm... To this
die.
day, I thought he died, and I read that...
Yeah, because it was like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I read the article
You thought he was dead this whole time.
He went off into the woods. He was very big into nature. He's a loner, and he gave his stuff all to charity and to his nephew. And what the fuck? Okay,
I
so
think
I
he's
was
Jewish. She's not giving anything away.
I was had. Son of
Didn't
a
they say
bitch.
someone else died recently too?
I feel like an idiot.
Winkler's not
Wow.
dead.
Okay, guys, I'm an idiot. I fell for that one. See, I saw it, didn't look back, and see how things can get in your head. But anyways, some other
Silver
comedy
Spoons about
shows.
another millionaire that whose son shows up on his doorstep and gets to know his dad. I remember that show. Remember they had the train that went through the whole house.
Yes, because he was very. You all right?
Yeah.
Very rich, and
I think he owned a toy factory.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he was like a toy mogul because the house
Right.
was all full of like toys.
Right,
and things
right,
like
right.
that. Yeah. What else did I watch? And there were a lot of very popular shows that I never really got into and didn't watch. I didn't really watch the A-Team.
Oh well, if we're getting into dramas and stuff like that,
Right.
I mean, yeah, there's
I didn't
various
watch.
ones.
I didn't really watch Miami Vice.
No.
I would watch Dallas with my mom.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I like
For the-
J.R.
for-
Ewing. J.R. I always like to see him screw over people.
It was comedies for me. I mean, those were my
Dukes
number
of
one.
Hazzard.
Watch some of the Dukes
Oh,
of
yeah,
Hazzard.
that was a
Boss
show.
Hog.
Had to watch the Duke. Them Duke boys.
Them
Gotta
Duke
get
boys.
them Duke boys.
Yeah, that's classic.
That I watched. I like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, no, all good shows, man.
Just
but,
the good old boys.
but hell, I
Do you even watch that anymore? Because they had the Confederate flag on top of their car. So
Yeah,
now
you
it's-
might not be able to. I don't know.
Oh, it's racist.
Yeah. Well, all of the South has that flag everywhere, but it means something, I guess. But anyways,
Well, I don't disagree. They probably shouldn't be flying the flag outside government buildings.
Well, exactly.
But
right,
it is
right.
part of
it means
the
something. Right.
history of that
The
area.
Confederate.
And I'm sure it belongs in a museum
Confederacy.
somewhere. but probably not
Historical
flying
museum,
outside of
yeah.
schools and
No, not at
government buildings.
I do agree
I
with
guess
that,
I,
yeah.
you know,
American flag.
I can see that.
Yeah. Other shows.
The General Lee I'm okay with. You know, if it's on the General Lee.
Yeah. But yeah. Those are some of just some
other
of my
ones.
quick.
What else did we? Elf.
Oh God!
Oh my
Elf.
God!
Are you kidding me?
Had to watch
Well,
Elf.
we talked about the cartoon last.
Right.
In the cartoon
Gordon
series
Shumway.
we did.
The cartoon was actually pretty darn good.
Oh,
it was so different. Remember we were at the flea market?
My Two Dads. Oh, but go ahead.
I was just watching an episode of My Two Dads the
Were
other
you?
day.
Yeah. My Two Dads. Remember that, guys?
Oh yeah, and we were at the flea market one time. This lady was selling this plush Elf doll, and I really wanted it, but she wanted like $25, $30 for it, and she wouldn't budge. And I just kept every time we walked by, I'd name a price, and no. And it was getting closer to the end, and I remember telling her, "You're going to take it home.
Yeah.
Why don't you I'll give you, whatever, $15 or $10, whatever. I'll give it." Cold hard cash. Right?
Finally,
I got it. I got that Elf doll at home.
Yeah, I would love waiting until the end of the flea market, and then you
name a price, whatever. Yeah. I just don't want to take it home.
And then people were throwing stuff into like the garbage and stuff like that, and you just.
I went to sell with my family one time, and the guy there, he didn't sell anything all day, and he had like dishes and stuff. I remember he was just breaking them,
throwing. Nobody's going to get them.
I can't sell them. Nobody's getting them. Yeah, we used to make some. We went a couple years, you and me. We made some money, man.
Oh hell yeah!
We did all right.
Yeah.
I remember I went with we go on these big tangents. I went with my sister one time and my mom and her boyfriend at the time, ages ago. Yeah. And I don't know where she came across these dirty movies.
Oh right.
I don't know whose they were, but they were in her area. And she said, I remember she asked me, "Ted, can you stand over here?" She's like, "Because I know a lot of people have looked at these, but they won't buy them because I'm standing here." So I sat over there, and I think within 2 minutes, somebody bought it.
Have a man stand in front of it, and
because they don't want to buy it from a woman.
Oh my god, makes.
I don't know if they were hers or if they were the guys that she was with at the time. I don't know.
That's so funny.
Oh man.
And remember, there was that lady who always walked that fox.
Yes.
We
talk about it all the time.
She had a fox on a leash, and she would walk it through the.
And she'd get mad if you made a comment about, "Oh, is that a fox?"
And it looked like it did not want to be on that leash.
Oh, remember the thing was snapping left and right.
It's like everybody get their rabies shot after you go to the flea market.
I mean, she's sitting there holding the damn thing.
Yeah,
that thing's just wanting to rip into somebody.
Unbelievable. Oh my god.
Oh, memories of the flea market. That's a whole show.
Well, you know what? They're inside now. We should go there and check it out one time.
We should do a show live from the flea market.
At the fairgrounds. I mean, they're over there yet. The Mummy and the Monkey go there. Janet and James.
That used to be our spot. We haven't gone for ages since we've had kids and stuff. But
right.
We used to go all the time.
I hated. Well, they closed it down from the old drive-in movie theater that we had.
That was so awesome. Yeah, you go there in the morning for a flea market. You go there at night for a movie.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man.
Think of some other shows, man. Yeah, we mentioned Alf. Anything like Alf? You mentioned mine too. Oh, you know what you got to mention?
What's that?
Is Married with Children.
Oh,
that started in the 80s.
Well, that was when Fox appeared.
I mean, Simpsons started in like 89, but Married with Children was their first series. Yeah. And
late
Kelly
80s
Bundy.
when Fox, Kelly Bundy.
And I can still watch those shows.
Who's on Modern Family now.
They're still funny. Those episodes are still great.
Oh, yeah. And
I even have a No Ma'am shirt.
Right.
the men's organization that they had.
Do a Home Married with Children show one day.
I know. My wife hates that. She hates when I watch that show.
Does she? Yeah.
Fox. No, Kelly Bundy.
Oh, God.
But I mean,
who is Christina Applegate?
Still lovely.
Oh, great show, man.
Yep.
Peg was
and it was
awesome.
just funny. I mean, I like Bud. I like Marcy.
They had fun with all their characters, and
there was a couple of seasons where they had
shoe salesman.
What was his name? I don't know.
Bud Bundy.
11 or whatever. I don't know.
11.
The little kid. Was that his name? 11? I
think so.
No, that's this girl from Stranger Things.
No, I think they call it 7.
7. I don't know what that. It was just some little kid.
He was named a number,
and he just kind of disappeared. Like he just didn't show up. No. And then there was a milk carton at his picture.
Yes, they tried to add another child. To the mix,
and
it didn't work out, and they immediately got rid of his ass. Oh, that was so funny.
His parents in the show were Bobcat Goldthwait and Linda Blair.
Yeah.
I think that was like a relative or something.
Right.
They dumped.
Yeah, that's right when Fox came on the scene and Married with Children was their big hit.
Yes.
And off from there spawned Beverly Hills 90210 and
oh god, now you're talking about my wife's shows
and all those other shows.
You know what's so sad is I could probably watch any episode of 90210 and I probably know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I've just watched it with my wife so many times. She doesn't even watch it anymore. Because she liked Melrose.
What else?
Bit more.
Melrose Place. Yeah. What else early on spawned from there? Was it mainly Married with Children or what? I mean, I know Simpsons, but was there anything else that spawned?
Didn't they have In Living Color?
In Living
I don't know
Color.
if that started in the 90s or the late 80s.
It was the 90s.
Okay.
Married with Children was the big hit, and then
which I never really watched. To be perfectly honest with you.
Soon after was In Living Color.
X-Files started. I don't know if it was 89 or 90.
90s.
Something
That
like
was
that.
90s.
So,
yeah.
You know, those were I remember when that show.
Staples. Yeah.
I remember when nobody watched that show. I watched it from the beginning. It was on Friday nights.
Same here.
Like at 8, 9 o'clock, and that's like a death slot.
Right.
You know, that's the death slot because that's where they put a show that they don't think. And I mean, the only people who are home are people that don't have dates or girlfriends. So okay, yeah, I was home.
But they all hit, man. They all became
that
hits,
one took
man.
some time. That's a rare thing right there.
Yeah.
For a show like that to get as big, and then it became Sunday prime time. You know, X-Files was like the show. You know, you watch Simpsons. Whatever was on, I think it was King of the Hill or whatever, and then you watch X-Files.
Was King of the Hill on then?
King of the Hill was on. I think it was on after. Yeah, that was a Fox show. Then it went to.
Was that early on though, huh?
No, that was in the 90s. It was after. Well, I think
late
co-produced
90s,
when
it?
Beavis and Butthead was on.
Okay.
Because Beavis and Butthead hit when I was in high school or getting out of high school,
right? Yeah,
92, 93, whatever. So. But as far as 80s, I mean, those are probably the shows I remember watching the most. I watched a lot of rerun shows. I watched a lot of, like Brady Bunch, Lost in Space.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, when cable
a lot of
hit
reruns.
Was it Nick at the time that I think
we had Nick at
came
Night.
On? Nick at Night.
Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Roseanne started in the 80s. You know, there's... That's a show that I've gone back and watched, again, my kids like to watch it. And
yeah.
Even today with the Connors, it's still on.
Right.
And I didn't expect to like it.
Oh, really?
Even though Roseanne was never my favorite character in the series anyway. I always liked, John Goodman's character and everything.
Yeah, I was surprised they continued after they...
I'll tell you what, it was better than it had any right to be. And
but how is it with Roseanne not being on there? Still okay?
Yeah, that's what I said. They did that season with Roseanne, and it kind of ended where you realized... She had a drug addiction to prescription painkillers because of her bad knee.
Yeah.
And then when the Connors, that season after, Roseanne was ousted for for her little thing.
Yeah. Saying a word.
The story was that she died of an overdose.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how they got her. Which isn't a very... it's not how you'd see that character going.
Right.
But in light of what's going on in our society and in our country, it does kind of show how... regular people that happens to. I mean, like we love our guy Art Bell that used to be on Late Night. Turns out, that's what got him in the end. You wouldn't, people have pain and they get on these medications and can't get off them.
Yeah.
And, but the Connors, where they carry on without her, the first couple episodes are just heart-wrenching, with the family dealing with it. And then it carries on. And it was actually pretty entertaining. There wasn't a bad episode, I thought. If anything, there were episodes where I wish I could have seen more of other characters. Like, I feel like in the whole revival, the season with Roseanne Barr and then this one without her, like, DJ gets, like, sidelined. Like, you don't really get much of him at all.
Huh. For a reason, probably? Or
I just don't think they came up with any kind of interesting storyline for him. He's married to a black woman. He has black, they have a daughter.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the news.
And she's still in the service. He's out of the service now, and he's got a pretty menial job that don't really, but his character doesn't really do anything. And there was another baby, there was another child, and they don't really talk about him. There was a little Jerry Garcia Connor. Jerry Garcia Connor. And, it kind of focuses on the daughters a little bit more, and but still, I mean, the wit was there. The the strength of the characters was still there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think I don't know if it's coming back or not, but it was better than, like I said, it had a right to be.
Yeah.
Usually shows when they come back stink.
Oh yeah.
So many of them do.
Exactly.
That's a whole show right there.
Yeah.
And that seems to be just the thing now. Let's bring all the shows back.
Yeah. Well, my big thing is my big 2 shows I watch right now is Modern Family and The Goldbergs. Mm-hmm. Enjoy those, but always go back to the old.
I don't feel
stuff,
The Goldbergs has
but
been as good the last season or 2.
No,
I feel like I haven't looked, but I feel like the writers have changed or something because
Something's
the dialogue
happened.
that the characters
Yeah.
are saying doesn't sound quite like it did before.
Yeah. Something's changed. No, I get it. I still enjoy it, but I understand what you're saying. It's kind of...
And they're growing up, and it's just, like, you got to have...
That's what happens when you try to change with the kids growing up and stuff like that. Where do we take the storylines and stuff like that? And Lainey, going away.
Have you watched that new show with her?
I haven't yet. I know you said it's okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
But her leaving, I hate that kind of. I hated. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's like
the first few seasons, especially Barry.
Yeah.
Oh God, he made the show for me. Made the show.
And Lainey just, I mean,
What are you gonna do?
But anyways, yeah.
But then that kind of segues, that idea of when the kids start getting older and the show's not as good anymore. I mean, probably the best example of that would be like the Cosby Show,
right?
Which was, I mean, how did we not
mention the Cosby Show?
I wasn't gonna let this episode of the show go by without mentioning.
We
the Cosby
have to.
Show.
Oh my God!
Because it was the biggest show.
Right.
I mean, who didn't? And it's so sad what's happened to Bill Cosby. Not, I shouldn't say sad. That I feel bad for him. It's just that someone who did so much to, for race relations, for entertainment, to have to do that to people and to have everything that you've done just be tarnished,
wiped and tarnished,
wiped away, and spend the rest of your miserable life in jail.
I know. Does that stop you from watching the Cosby Show?
No.
I mean...
But it's just.
But it does suck. I mean,
I mean, like if I was him and looking back and going, my God, for a piece of tail. I mean, did you have to drug him to get it? I mean, I'm sure you could have found someone that was, good to go without a word to say, without drugging him.
Right.
And I mean, you're Bill freaking Cosby.
I know. I know.
I mean, who didn't want Bill Cosby to be their dad? I'd have traded my dad in for Bill Cosby.
Oh,
back then everybody wanted Bill Cosby, but it was because of the children that show was so good. The interaction with his daughter, the little daughter, his son.
It was magical. Yeah.
Then when they got older, something was losing something. And then they brought in that other little girl, Raven Simone,
Simone.
Yeah, they brought her in, and it still just wasn't the same.
No, but it was still very.
And then the other kids kind of get lost in the shuffle. Rudy,
Lisa Bonet went to a different world, and that wasn't bad at the beginning either, and that I think had a few seasons, but there's nothing like the first few seasons of Cosby.
It was when the kids were little, it was magic. Yeah. And then as the kids get older, and I think that's kind of the case with a show like Goldberg's too. Yeah. As their problems become more adult, it's just not as funny. I don't find as much enjoyment.
It's even happening with Modern Family, although they're inserting kids at the right point to where it's continuing on. And I think they're the one show I think so far that's doing it. It's working for so far. Like interject a new kid here. What's her name's going to be having a baby soon. So they are plopping in kids, and it's working. So that show continues to be on par somewhat still, and just as funny as it was early on. So,
I guess that just, I don't watch it.
But in the past,
but I know it's been on forever. Like, how many seasons has it been on?
Oh, God, yeah. I don't
10?
know. 7, 8, 9. It hasn't been that many?
A lot of shows don't make it past that long.
No, right, yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's up there. It's up there.
You know,
so.
some of the best shows just quit. And,
Yeah.
So,
but like you said, I think the children growing up in these sitcoms, you know, from early on all the way up, is what kills shows most of the time. Because
if that's if it's a family dynamic and the humor is based on the interaction between parents and
the
other family
magic
members
you
and the
get
kids,
from them, you know,
when the kids start getting older, it's like you got to have like a jumping off point where you just
it's like the bands. It's like bands who have great success and eventually they say, I want to go on and do something different and something new, and it just makes it not the same. So you know, you got that. But anyways, we've been babbling on quite a bit here about
just talking about some of our favorite shows from the period. From our nostalgia period.
So,
and although
tell us your favorites.
My actual favorite shows, the TV shows that I love to watch, are the original the Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason. That's my favorite.
Well, and
probably the original
Same
Star
here.
Trek. Those are actually probably my two most favorite shows.
Same here. I mean, we could have talked probably for hours on shows, but
or The Prisoner from the 17 episode series with Patrick McGowan, The Prisoner.
Well, frick, I can talk British shows too. I mean,
those
Faulty
are like
Towers, Black Books, if you haven't seen it, IT Crowd.
IT Crowd is probably
3 shows. I mean, Faulty Towers goes back. I think that's 70's with Monty Python.
John Cleese.
John Cleese.
Yep.
And I mean, I just one season.
But that's how a lot of British shows work.
Oh yeah,
just one series, and,
right.
and that was it.
1, 2. You may get 3 seasons out of
they
newer
don't
shows.
milk things like we do here,
right?
Except for Doctor Who for some reason. But hey, if the fans still like that,
and they're
then
always
shows
evolving.
that you love, like Sherlock, you have to wait a decade for another series to come.
We're waiting for that. Yeah. But those are. Leave comments. Tell us what you love. What were your favorite
or if
older?
we forgot any that
older
we should have
shows
mentioned.
that you. Oh yeah, we kind of.
Because we didn't even plan this. We were doing another show and we just said, hey, let's do a show.
Yeah, haphazardly said, let's talk about some of our favorite shows from the past and a little bit of memories.
We did cartoons, so now here's regular shows.
So there you go. So yeah, until next week, man. We don't know what we're going to do, but hopefully you enjoyed it.
But it'll be good.
Bring up some memories. But yeah, there you go. The Dino and Ted Show. Until next week, man.